Have you ever wondered what sound a tropical paradise makes? Not the waves, not the wind. I mean the real soundtrack of the Bahamas. The voices hiding in the pines, the mangroves, the beaches nobody walks on. Because here's the question I want you to hold on to until the very end of this video. In a place this perfect, which bird is truly the soul of the islands? You'll think you know the answer in the first 5 minutes. And trust me, you'll be wrong. So stick around. The twist is waiting at species number 21. Picture this: warm blue water, blazing sun, and an entire cast of winged characters, from mockingbirds that can steal any sound they hear, to hummingbirds smaller than a seashell, to parrots loud enough to start an argument with you. And that's before we even get to the divers, the thieves, the sky pirates, the beach comedians, and of course, the pink legend of the Bahamas. Each of these 21 birds isn't just beautiful, they're survivors, hustlers, storytellers, the true island residents. So take a breath, turn up the volume, because we're about to follow the wings that built the Bahamas' identity. Ready? Let's start with the one voice that rules the islands, the Bahama mockingbird. You ever meet someone who can imitate anybody in the room and somehow still sound better than the original? That's the Bahama mockingbird, the island's unofficial DJ, comedian, and neighborhood gossip, all wrapped into one fluffy singer. The moment you step onto a quiet Bahamian trail, you hear it. This confident, rolling melody that suddenly shifts into whistles, chirps, clicks, and then a perfect imitation of 3 other birds you haven't even seen yet. It doesn't just sing, it performs. And here's the question that always gets me. If one bird can imitate half the island, does that technically make it the most Bahamas species of all? This bird has range. I'm talking Grammy-level vocal versatility. It's known for switching styles mid-song, soft and sweet one moment, loud and bossy the next. Scientists say it does this to stand out. To me, it sounds like someone who refuses to be ignored, which honestly is a pretty solid strategy when you're defending your territory in paradise. But here's the twist. The mockingbird doesn't just mimic birds. It mimics frogs, insects, and sometimes even distant car alarms. Imagine a tiny feathered creature standing on a branch, confidently dropping a sound effect like it's auditioning for a movie. And the best part? Other birds fall for it. They hear those fake calls, get confused, and back off. Exactly what the mockingbird wants. Still, underneath all that swagger is a smart, fiercely loyal bird. They defend their nests like tiny feathered bodyguards, chasing off predators 10 times their size. And when they sing at dawn, that long, rising, multi-layered song, it feels like the Bahamas is waking up through one voice. So here's the debate I'll throw your way. Is the Bahama mockingbird a musical genius, or just the island's most talented troublemaker who loves messing with his neighbors? Because honestly, if I could imitate the whole neighborhood and get away with it, I might try too. And while our mockingbird is out there performing his morning concert, something much smaller and much faster is about to zip into the spotlight. A hummingbird so tiny you might mistake it for a jewel with wings. Right after the mockingbird finishes showing off, you'll hear a completely different kind of sound. A tiny, fast electric buzz slicing through the warm island air. And if you blink, you'll miss it, because the Bahama Woodstar doesn't ask for attention. It arrives like a spark. Have you ever tried to watch a jewel fly? Not fall, not glide, fly. That's what this hummingbird looks like. A living drop of sunlight, beating its wings so fast you barely see them. Just a shimmer, a blur, a whisper of motion. And here's the question that always pops in my head. How does something this small end up with a personality bigger than half the island? This bird is tiny. We're talking a few grams, lighter than a sheet of paper. But its confidence, absolutely outsized. Males hover in front of flowers like little helicopters with attitude, flashing their bright magenta throat patch. A color so vivid it feels almost unreal in the Bahamian sun. They'll even chase off birds twice their size just to claim a feeder or a flower patch. Classic, small, but mighty energy. Now here's a fun twist. The woodstar doesn't just drink nectar, it guards it. If another hummingbird dares to sip from its flower, get ready for a high-speed chase worthy of an action movie. Tiny bodies, huge drama, zero hesitation. You can almost imagine them shouting, "Mine! That's my sugar!" But there's a softer side too. Their nests, impossibly small, look like perfect little cups made from spider webs and soft plant fibers. You could balance one on your thumb. Inside, 2 eggs the size of jelly beans. And yet, in that fragile nest, a new generation of tiny island acrobats begins. What I love most is how the woodstar moves. It doesn't fly, it teleports. Forward, backward, sideways. And sometimes it stops in midair like time hit pause. If the Bahama mockingbird is the island's singer, the woodstar is its dancer. Precise, flashy, impossible to ignore. So what do you think? Is the Bahama woodstar a delicate jewel or a fearless little sugar-powered daredevil? Because from where I'm standing, it might be both. And while our hummingbird zooms off to the next flower, something much louder, is about to make an entrance. A bird with colors, opinions, and a voice that can out-argue anyone. Just when the tiny Bahama woodstar zips away like a sugar-fueled firework, the forest suddenly gets louder, much louder, because here comes the Cuban parrot, a bird with colors bright enough to stop traffic and a personality bold enough to run for mayor. If the Bahamas had a bird that could talk back to you, this would be the one. Green wings flashing, red patches glowing, eyes full of mischief. It doesn't just arrive, it announces itself. And it always makes me wonder, how does a bird this loud manage to stay alive on islands full of predators? The answer, teamwork and attitude. Cuban parrots almost always travel in pairs or small family groups. You'll hear them before you see them. A chaotic chorus of squawks that sounds like 2 relatives arguing over who gets the last slice of pie. But that noise, it's a strategy. They're constantly talking, constantly checking on each other. It's like having built-in walkie-talkies. And here's a fun twist. These parrots are brilliant. They can solve puzzles, open containers, even recognize specific humans. Locals joke that if you leave your window open, a Cuban parrot might fly in, steal something shiny, and give you a judgmental look on the way out. Honestly, I believe it. Their nests are a surprise too. Instead of choosing big open trees, Cuban parrots often nest in limestone cavities or deep holes, natural fortress bunkers carved by nature. Mama parrot stays tucked inside while dad stands guard outside, pacing like a nervous security guard. It's adorable and intense. But the most beautiful moment is when a pair bonds. They preen each other's neck feathers, slow, gentle, almost romantic. You look at them and think, okay, this is definitely the island's cutest couple. That's why seeing a flock fly overhead is unforgettable. Brilliant flashes of green and red sweeping across a bright blue sky, like the Bahamas painted its own fireworks. So here's the big question. Is the Cuban parrot the island's smartest bird, or just the most dramatic extrovert nature ever designed? Either way, it knows how to steal the spotlight, and maybe your snack. And as the parrots fade into the trees, the soundscape changes again. Softer, deeper, almost coastal. Because the next bird isn't here for comedy or color. It's here to connect forest and ocean in one elegant, gliding silhouette. When the Cuban parrot's loud squawks finally fade into the treetops, the Bahamas gives you a moment of calm, a softer wing beat, a deeper coo, and then gliding right over your head like a living postcard comes the white-crowned pigeon. If the parrot is the island's extrovert, this is the mysterious older cousin. Elegant, quiet, and somehow always exactly where it wants to be. Dark, glossy body, bright white head that looks almost unreal in the sun. It flies with the confidence of a bird that knows every island, every mangrove, every hidden fruit tree. And here's the question that always gets people thinking. How does a bird this beautiful survive in a world where half of its neighbors scream for attention and the other half want to eat it? The answer is, it plays both sides of the Bahamas. By morning, it's deep in the pine forests, feeding on berries most animals can't even reach. By afternoon, it glides toward the mangroves and coastal scrubs, where it drinks fresh water from secret pools. This bird literally lives between worlds, part forest, part sea breeze. Locals even call it the tree-to-shore traveler. But here's a twist you probably didn't expect. This pigeon is a seriously athletic flyer. It can cross long stretches of open ocean just to reach remote islands where it nests. Picture a sleek, silent bird slicing through salty air with that bright white crown glowing like a lighthouse signal. That's the white-crowned pigeon in its element. And let's talk about that crown for a second. From a distance, it almost looks painted on. Up close, it's even sharper. Crisp white, perfectly outlined, like it sat in front of a tiny mirror before taking off. You could swear this bird cares about looking presentable. Its role in the ecosystem? Huge. This pigeon eats fruits with large seeds and carries them across islands, helping forests regenerate. In other words, it's a gardener with wings, quietly replanting the Bahamas one berry at a time. But here's the debate to chew on. Is the white-crowned pigeon the island's unsung hero? Or the Bahamas' most underrated beauty, hiding in plain sight? Because as calm and composed as it looks, it's part of something much bigger. A hidden forest story that's just beginning to unfold. And speaking of forest stories, our next bird steps in like a quiet narrator. Gray feathers, red legs, and a voice that turns every trail into a scene from a nature movie. As the white-crowned pigeon glides away toward the mangroves, the forest gets a little quieter. Not silent, just calmer. Like the Bahamas is taking a breath before introducing its next storyteller. Then from the shadows of a shaded trail, you see a flash, not of wings, not of feathers, but of bright red legs stepping confidently through the leaf litter. That's when you know the red-legged thrush has arrived. This bird doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't need neon colors or loud calls. Its beauty is subtle: misty gray feathers, a soft blue tint in the right light, a clean white belly, and those unmistakable coral red legs that look like they were dipped in tropical sunrise. But here's the question that always pops into my mind. Why does a bird this elegant choose to walk around like it's late for a meeting instead of flying like everyone else? Because walking is part of the story. The red-legged thrush is a ground forager, a detective of the forest floor. It trots between roots, kicks leaves aside, tilts its head, listens, and then pounces on insects, snails, or fallen berries with surgeon-like precision. It's calm, focused, almost cinematic to watch. And here's a twist. This bird has one of the most beautiful flute-like songs in the Caribbean. Pure, clear, emotional, but you won't hear it all the time. Thrushes tend to sing at dawn or after rainfall, like they're scoring the forest with background music. It makes you feel like you wandered straight onto the soundtrack of a nature documentary. They're also surprisingly curious. If you stay still long enough, one might walk closer, eyeing you as if wondering why you're in its forest. It's not afraid, just calculating. Smart bird, and let's not forget the legs. Those bright red legs do more than stand out. They help the bird blend into the reddish-brown forest floor. Nature's camouflage can be stylish when it wants to be. So here's the debate I'll throw at you. Is the red-legged thrush the Bahamas' quiet philosopher, or its undercover explorer disguised as a gentle songbird? Either way, its presence sets the perfect mood. Because just when the forest gets thoughtful and mellow, the peace is about to be shattered by a completely different kind of island character. A bold drummer with a red cap and a beak that never stops working. Right as the red-legged thrush disappears back into the underbrush, the Bahamas decides it's time to get loud again. Not with a song, not with a call, but with a hammering so sharp and confident you'd swear someone started building furniture in the middle of the forest. That's when you meet the West Indian woodpecker, the island's full-time carpenter, part-time troublemaker, and the bird least likely to respect your morning quiet. Here's the first question that hits you the moment you hear that rapid-fire drumming echo across the pines. How does a creature this small hit a tree that hard and somehow not end up with a headache? This woodpecker is a specialist built for the job. Its beak is a chisel, its skull is reinforced like natural shock absorption gear, and its tongue, long, sticky, and barbed, can snake deep into tunnels for insects hiding where no one else can reach. It's basically walking around with its own toolkit. Visually, it's a showstopper. Bold black and white stripes down its body, a red crown like a tiny firefighter helmet, and eyes full of attitude. It doesn't sneak around, it struts up the trunk like it owns the lease. But here's a twist most visitors never learn. The West Indian woodpecker is one of the loudest territorial birds in the Bahamas. Not just from drumming, its call is a sharp, laughing chirr, 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 a sound that feels like it's mocking anyone who dares walk into its section of forest. You'll hear it and think, okay, that bird definitely talks back. They're fierce defenders of their nest too. If a snake, rat, or other woodpecker gets too close, this bird launches into what I can only describe as winged fury mode. It screeches, it lunges, it hammers the tree like a warning siren. Suddenly you understand why every creature quietly gives this bird a wide circle. But woodpeckers aren't just noise and attitude, they're engineers. The cavities they carve become real estate for owls, doves, lizards, insects, entire micro-communities built off one bird's persistence. The Bahamas forests literally depend on this species to make homes for others. So here's the mini debate for you. Is the West Indian woodpecker the island's noisiest neighbor, or the hard-working architect holding the whole ecosystem together? Because honestly, it might be both, and proud of it. And as the woodpecker taps out its last echo across the pines, a new silhouette lands on a branch. Sharp posture, bold eyes, and a tail that flicks like it's sizing up the whole island. As the West Indian woodpecker finishes its aggressive drum solo and disappears up the trunk, the forest suddenly shifts tone. Quieter, still, but with a strange kind of tension. Like the islands themselves are holding their breath. Because perched on the highest visible branch, scanning everything below with sharp, unblinking eyes, is the bird with one of the most perfectly accurate names ever given, the loggerhead kingbird. You look at that big, blocky head, that thick, no-nonsense bill, the stiff posture, and instantly think, yep, that is absolutely the boss of the Caribbean. Here's the question that always pops into my mind when I see one. How does a bird this small manage to look like it's judging everyone on the island, including me? This species is all attitude, perched high, chest puffed, tail flicking in controlled impatience. It surveys its territory like a tiny sheriff keeping order in a very sunny town. But don't let the pose fool you. When the loggerhead kingbird hunts, it goes from statue still to missile speed in a split second. It launches off its perch, locks onto a flying insect, and snatches it midair with ridiculous precision. No hesitation, no warm-up, just pure instinct. A flycatcher doing exactly what its family name promises. And here's a fun twist. This bird loves confrontation. It will chase off hawks, crows, gulls, even birds twice its size just for entering the edge of its favorite tree. It's the Caribbean definition of punching above your weight. In the Bahamas, locals sometimes call it the tyrant bird, not because it's mean, but because it runs its territory like a one-bird security patrol. You can almost imagine it writing tiny parking tickets for other birds that perch too close. Its call? A sharp, raspy kip, kip, kip that sounds like a whistle blow before a fight starts. You hear it and immediately know something is about to get chased. And yet, here comes the twist. This tough little enforcer has a gentle side too. During breeding season, the male brings food to the female, softens his calls, and even does a subtle fluttering display. Like a tough guy suddenly trying to impress a date. It's equal parts adorable and surprising. So here's your mini debate for today. Is the loggerhead kingbird a heroic protector of the islands, or just a tiny feathered bouncer who loves starting fights? Either way, it takes its job seriously. And the Bahamas wouldn't be the same without its vigilant stare. And as the kingbird flicks its tail and returns to sentinel duty, a totally different kind of island character swoops in. Smaller, sweeter, and buzzing with pure sunshine energy. Time to meet the nectar thief of the Bahamas, the bananaquit. Right after the loggerhead kingbird finishes yelling at the sky, and yes, he always finds something to yell at, the forest suddenly brightens. Not from sunlight, but from a tiny burst of yellow that zips into view like a living drop of lemonade. That's the banana quit, the busiest, happiest, and most sugar-obsessed bird in the Bahamas. And here's the question that always makes me grin. How does a bird this tiny end up ruling every flower, every feeder, and every sweet drink left unattended on a beach table? Because make no mistake, the banana quit has zero shame. It will hover into your balcony, land on your coconut drink, take a sip, look you straight in the eye, and then take another sip. It's the island's smallest outlaw, running on pure sunshine and stolen sugar. This bird is adorable. Black head, bright yellow belly, white eyebrow that makes it look constantly surprised. But beneath that cute outfit is a master nectar thief. Its curved beak is perfectly designed to poke into flowers, sipping sweet nectar the same way a hummingbird does, except with way more mischief. Here's a fun twist. Banana quits don't just drink nectar. They sometimes poke holes in the base of flowers to steal it without pollinating the plant. Imagine nature inventing a tiny feathered straw thief. Evolution must have laughed while designing this one. And they're bold. Oh, they are bold. They'll march right up to hummingbirds, kingbirds, even bigger songbirds, spread their wings, flare their tail, and defend a sugar source like a gladiator. It's like watching a happy little sunbeam suddenly turn into a caffeinated warrior. Their nests are just as quirky. Huge ball-shaped structures woven from grass, hanging low in bushes. Inside, a cozy little chamber where they raise their young like tropical royalty. But the part that gets me every time is their energy. Banana quits never walk. They bounce. They flit, hop, twitch, zip, chirp, like someone hit the fast-forward button on their whole life. So here's your mini debate for today. Is the banana quit a charming island sweetheart, or a tiny sugar bandit who just wants to raid every drink on the beach? Either way, one thing's certain. Wherever flowers bloom in the Bahamas, this bird isn't far behind. And speaking of bold island personalities, our next species doesn't steal sugar. It steals jewelry, fish scraps, shiny objects, and sometimes your patience. While the banana quit finishes licking sugar off someone's abandoned juice cup, a shadow drops onto a railing nearby. Not a scary shadow, a flashy, confident, jet black one. A bird that tilts its head like it's judging your fashion choices. That's the Greater Antillean grackle, the island's top trickster, prank master, and full-time troublemaker. Here's the question I want bouncing around your mind as we meet this bird. Is the grackle actually smart, or just so bold that we assume it must be smart? Because honestly, in the Bahamas, this bird acts like it owns everything. Sidewalks, grackle property, picnic tables, grackle throne, shiny objects you left unattended. Well, you don't own those anymore. Their feathers are stunning, glossy black with a purple-blue sheen that changes with every angle of light. And those pale yellow eyes, they're intense. The kind of stare that says, "Human, I see your sandwich, and I will be taking it." These birds operate in crews, noisy, chaotic, brilliant little gangs. Working together, they've mastered the art of stealing food, opening containers, and distracting people long enough for one grackle to swoop in for the prize. It's coordinated mischief. You can't even be mad. The teamwork is impressive. Here's a fun twist. Scientists found that grackles can solve complex puzzles, like sliding doors, locks, levers, almost like they're training to rob a tiny bird-sized bank. They'll even mimic sounds and calls of other species, not as beautifully as a mockingbird, but definitely well enough to confuse them. Chaos with purpose. And the males? They perform these wild, puffed-up displays during breeding season. Wings spread, tail wide, feathers shimmering, like nature's version of a rock star hair flip. Yet for all the boldness and comedy, grackles are also survivors. They thrive in cities, coasts, forests, anywhere there's a chance to find food or steal something shiny. They've mastered the entire island lifestyle. So here's the mini debate for today. Is the Greater Antillean grackle an island genius, or the lovable troublemaker who makes every beach day unpredictable? Either way, they always know where the snacks are, and they're probably watching you right now. And when the grackle gang finally flaps off to bother someone else, the Bahamas gives you a brief moment of peace. A tiny, gentle dove steps out from the brush. Quiet, soft, and the complete opposite of chaos. After the greater Antillean grackle finishes harassing everyone's snacks and struts off like it just won an award for most annoyingly charming bird, the forest suddenly exhales. The noise fades, the chaos calms, and something tiny, unbelievably tiny, waddles into view. The common ground dove, a bird so small, so peaceful, that it feels like the Bahamas just pressed the reset button. Here's the question that always hits me when I see one. How does a dove that weighs less than a golf ball manage to survive in a place full of predators, hurricanes, and hyperactive grackles? Because this little bird is tough, much tougher than it looks. It walks everywhere, rarely flies unless absolutely necessary. Short legs, round body, soft brown feathers with delicate scaling. It looks like someone took a regular dove and shrunk it in the wash. But don't let the cuteness fool you. Ground doves are masters of camouflage. The moment danger appears, they freeze, and they vanish into the leaf litter like they were never there. Nature's disappearing act. Its voice? A soft, low, ooh, ooh, ooh that sounds like a tiny wooden flute. You hear it on quiet mornings, drifting through scrubland and sandy paths. The soundtrack of a peaceful island moment. And here's a fun twist. When it does fly, the wings make a crisp, whistling sound, almost like a little alarm system built right into its feathers. Other doves hear that whoosh and immediately know something startled it. Natural walkie-talkie technology. But the most charming thing? Its personality. Common ground doves are gentle, non-confrontational, and politely avoid drama. Basically the opposite of every bird we've met so far. While grackles argue and kingbirds chase and bananaquits steal sugar, this little dove just minds its business, pecking seeds, enjoying the sunshine, and living a quiet island life. Nests are tiny too, loose scrapes of grass tucked into low shrubs. Eggs are small, white, and delicate, protected by a parent who weighs less than your phone. So here's your mini debate of the day. Is the common ground dove the Bahamas' sweetest soul, or its most underestimated survivor hiding under a blanket of calm? Because sometimes the quietest birds have the strongest instincts, and just when you think the island can't get calmer, a new sound slides in. Soft, mysterious, almost secretive. A bird that doesn't want to be seen. A bird built for shadows and silent mangroves. When the common ground dove finally melts back into the leaf litter, the Bahamas shifts tone again. The air gets thicker, quieter, almost secretive. The sunlight turns green as it filters through tangled mangroves. And for a moment, it feels like you've stepped into another world. A world where only one bird truly belongs. The mangrove cuckoo. Elusive, elegant, a shadow with feathers. And here's the first question that hits you. How does a bird this beautifully designed manage to stay almost invisible in a place full of tourists, fishermen, and noisy island life? Because the mangrove cuckoo isn't rare. It's just really good at disappearing. This bird loves thick mangroves, those twisting roots and low branches where everything looks the same to us. But to the cuckoo, it's a maze it knows by heart. Creamy belly, warm buff chest, sleek gray wings, and that bold black and white eye mask. It blends perfectly with sun-dappled branches. Its camouflage upgraded to luxury mode. Its voice? A slow, haunting caw, 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 caw that rises like a question mark hanging in humid air. You hear it, but you may never see the bird that made it. It's nature's version of a mystery caller. Here's a twist. Unlike some of its cuckoo cousins, the mangrove cuckoo does not sneak eggs into other birds' nests. It raises its own young, slowly, quietly, hidden deep in a mangrove cradle where no predator wants to crawl. But its real superpower is patience. It'll sit absolutely still for minutes, watching for caterpillars, lizards, or insects to wander too close. Then, lightning strike. That long bill snaps shut with precision you'd swear belonged to a bigger predator. And for a bird so peaceful looking, it's surprisingly fierce about its territory. If another cuckoo steps in, a soft, eerie chase begins. Two ghosts weaving through branches, silent except for the occasional wing beat. So here's your mini debate for today. Is the mangrove cuckoo a shy introvert avoiding attention, or a master hunter using mystery as its greatest weapon? Because in the mangroves, mystery always wins. And just when the sun sinks lower and shadows stretch across the water, the next hunter steps into frame, red eyes glowing, feathers dark as nightfall. This one doesn't hide in the mangroves. It rules them after dark. As the mangrove cuckoo slips deeper into the shadows, the mangrove forest shifts from gold to gray. The air cools, the water darkens, and suddenly, the Bahamas feels like a completely different island because night belongs to someone else. Someone who doesn't hide, someone who waits. A shape stands perfectly still on a branch over the water. No movement, no sound, just two glowing red eyes watching the tide slide in. The black-crowned night heron. And here's the question that always hits me when I see one frozen like a statue. How does a bird that barely moves end up being one of the most successful hunters in the entire Caribbean? It's simple. Stillness is its superpower. While daytime herons stalk and stride, this one chooses patience. It stands motionless for minutes, sometimes longer, until the perfect moment. A ripple, a flicker beneath the surface, a fish drifting too close. Then, in a split second, it lashes out with a lightning stab of its bill. Silent, precise, dinner. Its appearance fits the mood. Gray body, white belly, and that striking black crown running from forehead to back. A bird dressed like a shadow. But those eyes, deep crimson, glowing in the dusk, they're what make you stop and stare. Night vision optics before humans ever knew the word. Here's a twist. The night heron may look calm, but its call is anything but. A harsh quack cuts through the darkness, startling enough to make you rethink your life choices. If you're walking alone through mangroves at night, trust me, you'll hear it. And even more surprising, these birds are team players. They often nest in huge colonies with hundreds of other herons, ibises, and egrets. An entire nighttime neighborhood perched in trees above the water, all murmuring, shifting, living together in organized chaos. But when the sun rises, they vanish into the shade again. Creatures of twilight, slipping back into their secret world. So here's your mini debate. Is the black-crowned night heron a calm monk of the mangroves, or a stealth assassin who simply prefers to hunt under moonlight? Because as night fades and the shoreline brightens, a new bird steps out, smaller, lighter, sandy-colored, and full of coastal charm. A bird that trades mystery for playfulness. As dawn washes the mangroves with pale gold and the black-crowned night heron gives up its shadow throne, the Bahamas shifts mood again. The night hunters retreat, the day dancers take the stage, and the first to step into the spotlight, a small sandy bird with big curious eyes and legs that look just a tiny bit too long for its round little body. Wilson's plover, the beach comedian, the shoreline sprinter, and easily one of the most charming birds you'll meet on a Bahamian morning. Here's the question that always pops into my mind. How does a bird this tiny manage to run across wet sand like a professional athlete without ever looking like it's actually in a hurry? Because that's exactly what Wilson's plover does. It trots, pauses, tilts its head, then suddenly zooms forward like it forgot something important. Every move is adorable, but underneath the cuteness is a serious hunter. Its beak is thicker and chunkier than other plovers. A design upgrade that lets it grab bigger prey, like fiddler crabs scuttling along the shore. And watching this bird hunt is pure entertainment. Quick run, freeze, dramatic stare, then snatch. Crab acquired, confidence restored. The plumage is simple but beautiful. Soft sandy browns, clean white belly, and a dark breastband that looks like nature gave it a tiny seatbelt. Perfect camouflage against beaches, dunes, and tidal flats. Here's a fun twist. Wilson's plovers are surprisingly protective parents. If a threat comes too close to their nest, they'll fake a broken wing, flopping dramatically across the sand to lure predators away. Hollywood-level acting, performed by a bird that weighs less than your phone. Their call is a soft, piping whistle, cheerful, light, drifting above the sound of waves. When a whole group calls at once, it feels like the shoreline is singing. But here's your mini debate for today. Is Wilson's plover simply a cute beach bird, or the most underrated, strategic, Oscar-worthy actor in the Bahamas? Either way, it brings personality to every stretch of sand it touches. And just as you're smiling at this little sprinter, the horizon darkens with a massive shadow. Wings wide, pouch hanging, a giant of the coastline glides in, ready to turn the beach into a cinematic dive scene. Just as Wilson's plover finishes its adorable crab heist and scurries back up the sand, a new presence sweeps across the shoreline. Bigger, bolder, and absolutely impossible to ignore. A shadow widens over the water, a long bill catches the morning light, and suddenly the beach feels like you've stepped into a wildlife movie. That's the brown pelican, the Bahamas' heavyweight diver, sky-gliding bomber, and the only bird here with a built-in fishing net. And here's the question that always hits right as you watch it glide. How does a bird this massive manage to fly with such calm, effortless grace, and then plunge into the ocean like a falling boulder a second later? Because that's exactly what a pelican does. It soars, still majestic, wings wide like it's reading the wind. Then it folds those same wings, angles downward, and boom! It drops head first into the sea with explosive confidence. A perfect plunge dive from 10, 15, sometimes 20 meters up. Imagine doing a high dive with your face, and somehow, miraculously, it works every single time. Its throat pouch is the real engineering miracle. Elastic, expandable, designed to scoop up fish in gallons of seawater. Then the pelican tilts its head, drains the water through the sides, and gulps down the catch like a pro. It's a whole mechanical sequence in bird form. But here's a fun twist. Brown pelicans weren't always common. A few decades ago, pesticide poisoning nearly wiped them out. Their eggshells weakened, populations collapsed. But after protections and conservation, these birds came roaring back. A reminder that even giants can be fragile, and that humans can fix things when we choose to. They're also surprisingly social. Pelicans loaf together on docks, boats, mangrove roots. A group of big birds just hanging out, looking like a jury panel judging everyone else's fishing technique. And that face? Yes, they always look a little grumpy. But wouldn't you, if your job was diving headfirst into salt water all day? So here's the mini debate for you. Is the brown pelican a clumsy-looking comedian with perfect timing, or a precision-engineered predator disguised as a beach bum? Either way, when it rises from the waves and shakes the water off like a wet dog, you know the coastline just got a whole lot more dramatic. And as the pelican drifts farther out, a different kind of seabird circles above the deeper turquoise water. Smaller, sleeker, and dressed in rich chocolate brown. When the brown pelican finishes its dramatic plunge and paddles off, looking very pleased with itself, the sky above the deeper blue water shifts to a softer, calmer rhythm. No dives, no explosions. Just gentle arcs of wings gliding over the waves. Smooth, steady, unbothered. That's the brown noddy, the understated seafarer of the Bahamas. The bird that doesn't need flashy colors or wild stunts to own its part of the ocean. And here's the question that always lingers when I watch one glide. How does a bird this calm survive on the same chaotic waters, ruled by pelicans, frigate birds, and storms that can tear boats apart? Because the brown noddy's secret weapon is simplicity. Chocolate brown feathers from head to tail, a pale gray crown that looks like it's wearing a tiny soft helmet, and a relaxed, steady flight pattern that feels almost meditative. Nothing frantic, nothing rushed, just ocean zen. This bird nests on remote islands and rocky cays far from humans, forming colonies that can number in the thousands. But unlike some noisy seabird neighbors, noddies keep things surprisingly peaceful. Pairs call softly to each other, bow gently, and build nests from seaweed and twigs on ground that looks too harsh to support anything. Yet somehow, it works. It always works. Here's a twist. Their name, Noddy, comes from their habit of bobbing their heads up and down during courtship, as if politely greeting each other like Victorian-era island gentlemen. Watching two noddies nod at each other is one of the most charming things you'll ever see on a tropical beach. They're also skillful surface feeders. No high dive like a gannet, no pouch scoop like a pelican, just graceful skimming as they pluck small fish and squid right from the top of the water. Elegant efficiency. But don't be fooled by the soft personality. Brown noddies are tough. They weather storms, navigate open ocean with precision, and return year after year to the same lonely rocks to raise their families. They're honest, hardworking seabirds, without the theatrics. So here's your mini debate. Is the brown noddy the Bahamas' calm, spiritual guru of the sea, or the quiet underdog that outsmarts everyone by staying chill? Either way, its peaceful presence never lasts long, because right above its head, a very different bird is circling. Longer wings, sharper silhouette, aerial pirate energy. Right above the calm, polite glide of the brown noddy, a new shape slices into the sky. Sharp, dark, predatory. Like a shadow drew wings and decided to go hunting. That's the magnificent frigate bird, the pirate of the Bahamas, the bird that almost never lands, and the one creature every fish wishes it could file a complaint against. And here's the question that always hits first. How does a bird this dramatic manage to look both elegant and villainous at the exact same time? Maybe it's the wings. Long, angular, almost prehistoric, stretching wider than you'd ever expect from a bird this light. Maybe it's the forked tail that twists like a rudder. Or maybe it's the silhouette, a black blade carving through the air. Either way, frigate birds don't fly. They command the sky. Unlike almost every other seabird, they can't get their feathers wet, so they never dive. Not once. Not ever. Instead, they grab food midair, steal from other birds, or snatch fish right off the surface with surgeon-like precision. That's why sailors once called them man-o'-war birds, because they attack like warships. And the drama isn't just in their hunting. When the breeding season hits, males inflate a giant red balloon under their throat, a bright, impossible red pouch that looks like a heart turned inside out. They sit on open branches, puffed up like living Valentine decorations, hoping a female flies by and says, "Yep, that's the guy." Here's a twist. These birds can stay in the air for days. Some scientists believe they can sleep in flight, gliding on rising warm air currents while half their brain goes into rest mode. Imagine taking a nap while soaring over turquoise water at sunset. That's peak island living. And yet, despite all the piracy and posturing, frigate birds are surprisingly graceful parents. They guard their nests fiercely, feed their chicks for months, and form long-term pairs that return to the same colonies year after year. So here's your mini debate. Is the magnificent frigate bird a sky thief with a red balloon for a love life? Or a perfectly evolved aerial master that rewrote the rules of seabird survival? Either way, when it swoops overhead, every other bird in the Bahamas pays attention. And speaking of dramatic aerial mastery, the next bird doesn't steal food. It earns it by diving into the ocean like a feathered torpedo. When the magnificent frigate bird finishes its sky pirate patrol and drifts off like a floating blade, the ocean suddenly feels still. Not quiet, just waiting, because everyone knows what comes next. Far out over the turquoise water, a white shape circles high, higher, impossibly high. Wings locked, body streamlined, eyes locked onto something only it can see. This is the northern gannet, the island's torpedo, the feathered missile. The bird that hunts like gravity is just a friendly suggestion. And here's the question that always hits you as you watch it hover with impossible calm. How can anything fall from the sky at 100 kilometers an hour and survive the impact? Because the gannet doesn't dive, it plummets. It folds its wings back, points its body downward, and then, boom, slices into the ocean like a javelin thrown by the gods. No splash, no hesitation, just raw, targeted force. When it disappears beneath the waves, the surface barely twitches. And seconds later, it rockets back up with a fish clenched in that long, dagger-shaped bill. That skull, reinforced like a helmet. That chest, shock-absorbing. That body, fueled by precision engineering millions of years in the making. But here's the twist. Despite being one of the world's most dramatic hunters, the northern gannet is surprisingly gentle on land. They nest in huge, noisy colonies. Thousands of white birds with golden heads packed together like a feathery city on sea cliffs. Parents take turns incubating eggs, greeting each other by tapping bills in soft, intricate rituals that look almost like dancing. And the colors, oh, those colors. Pure white body, black wingtips, and a warm honey gold wash across the head and neck. In the Bahamas sunlight, that golden glow almost looks unreal, like a spotlight following the ocean's most daring athlete. They're also loyal navigators. Once a gannet establishes a hunting route, it can follow it perfectly day after day, reading wind, currents, and waves with an accuracy that modern drones struggle to match. So here's your mini debate for today. Is the northern gannet the ultimate diving daredevil, or a disciplined aerial tactician disguised as a stunt performer? Either way, when it slices through the air and crashes into the sea like a living spear, you know you're watching a master at work. And as the gannet disappears into the glittering blue, another hunter takes its place, one that doesn't dive from the sky, but hovers, watches, and strikes with talons built for absolute precision. When the northern gannet finishes its cinematic plunge and rockets back into the sky, the ocean barely has time to settle before another shadow glides overhead. Broad wings, hooked bill, and a hunter's stare that could cut through sunlight. The osprey, the fishhawk, the Bahamas precision striker. And here's the question that always grabs me when I watch one hover over crystal blue water. How does a bird stay perfectly still in midair while beating its wings hard enough to defy gravity and wind? Because hovering is its secret power. The osprey hangs above the shallows, head fixed, eyes locked. Like a drone programmed for one mission. Find the fish, catch the fish, no excuses. Then, when the moment hits, it swings its body downward, folds those giant wings, drops its legs forward, and dives feet first into the water. Not like the gannet spear dive, but like a calculated plunge, talons outstretched, ready to snatch a wriggling meal from just beneath the surface. And here's the wild twist. The osprey's feet are built differently from almost every other raptor. A reversible outer toe, razor-sharp spines on the soles, talons that snap shut like industrial clamps. It doesn't just catch fish, it locks them in. Even crazier, when it lifts back into the air, the osprey rotates the fish so its head faces forward, reducing wind drag. Aerodynamics 101, taught by a bird. Its appearance is striking too. White belly, dark chocolate wings, and that bold black mask across the eyes. A look that says, I take my job seriously, and also your lunch. But here's another twist most people never hear about. Ospreys are loyal travelers. They migrate across entire continents, yet return to the same nest every year. Massive stick platforms built high in mangroves, on telephone poles, or on specially made nesting towers. Partners reunite, rebuild, raise their chicks, then fly thousands of miles apart, only to meet again the next year like no time passed. So here's your mini debate for today. Is the osprey the Bahamas' ultimate fish assassin, or the island's most dedicated long-distance romantic? Either way, when it rises from the waves with talons dripping and wings shining, you feel like you're watching nature's version of a superhero taking flight. And as it circles upward into the bright blue, another raptor prepares to enter the scene. Smaller, sharper, stranger, with two different color forms and a hunting style all its own. As the osprey climbs higher into the blue, shaking seawater from its talons like a seasoned warrior finishing a perfect mission, the sky over the Bahamas changes tone again. The power is still there, but now it's subtler, quicker, more unpredictable. A small, compact shape appears overhead, circling with a kind of casual confidence that says, I know something you don't. That's the short-tailed hawk, The Caribbean's aerial wildcard, a raptor with two faces. Literally. And here's the question that always sticks with me. How does a hawk this small manage to stay almost invisible in plain sight until the exact second it decides to strike? It all starts with those two color morphs. Some short-tailed hawks are dark, almost entirely chocolate brown, blending so perfectly with shadows that you can stare straight at one and never realize it's there. Others are light, white belly, brown back, bold contrast, drifting through the sky like a harmless seabird. Two different outfits, same bird. It's nature's version of a disguise system. But the hunting strategy, that's where things get spicy. Unlike the osprey's dramatic hover dive, the short-tailed hawk prefers stealth. It climbs high, sometimes so high you don't notice it, then positions itself directly above its prey, usually small birds, lizards, sometimes bats, and then it drops, straight down, like a stone with wings. No warning, no noise, just sudden, surgical impact. Ask any birdwatcher and they'll tell you, this hawk appears out of nowhere, snatches a victim, and vanishes again before your brain even processes what happened. But here's the twist. For all its assassin-like behavior, short-tailed hawks are surprisingly chill the rest of the time. They soar lazily with other raptors, share thermals, and even perch calmly on exposed snags like they're just enjoying the island breeze. Their nests are tucked quietly in tall trees, built with care and lined with fresh green leaves. A strangely tender detail from such a ruthless hunter. And socially, they're selective. Not loners, not flock birds, just independent spirits who show up when they want, leave when they want, and never stay in one place long enough for you to predict them. So here's your mini debate for today. Is the short-tailed hawk a stealthy sky ninja or a laid-back island raptor that just happens to hunt like a professional hitman? Either way, when it fades into the clouds again, you realize something else has entered the scene. Bigger, darker, and far less graceful, but absolutely vital to the island's balance. As the short-tailed hawk melts back into the blue, silent, sharp, and effortlessly cool, the Bahamas sky makes room for a very different flyer. A bird with broad wings, a wobblier glide, and an expression that says, "Yeah, I know I'm not pretty, but I'm necessary." The black vulture, the island's cleanup crew, the street tough survivor, the bird that shows up when everyone else leaves. And here's the question that always cracks me up a little. How does a bird with no song, no grace, and no shame end up being one of the most important species in the entire Bahamas? Let's start with the vibes. Black vultures fly like they're wearing a leather jacket. Low, steady, unapologetically confident. Their wings are broad, their tails short, and their silhouettes unmistakable. A kind of wing bouncer patrolling the coastline. They don't dive like gannets, don't hover like ospreys, don't swoop like hawks. They just ride the thermals, lazy circles overhead, like they're cruising the island looking for trouble or leftovers. And honestly, both work. Here's the twist. Black vultures are geniuses of survival. They clean up carrion before diseases spread, stop bacteria from taking over beaches and forests, and essentially do nature's dirty work without complaint. No glamour, no applause, just pure ecological value. And they're social, ridiculously social. You'll find them standing shoulder to shoulder on rooftops, docks, telephone poles, like a group of friends hanging out, roasting each other, and waiting for a fish market to drop a few scraps. Their communication style? Let's just say it's expressive. Hisses, grunts, wing flaps. No songbirds here. It's more like an avian motorcycle gang. But don't let the tough image fool you. When they eat, they're careful. Their stomach acid is strong enough to neutralize harmful bacteria, cleaning the environment so other species, including humans, can stay healthy. They're the uncredited heroes of the islands. So here's your mini debate for today. Is the black vulture a grim-looking scavenger, or the Bahamas' most underrated sanitation worker keeping paradise clean? Because just when you think the sky has shown you every shade of wildness, a new color floods the horizon. Pink, Deep, brilliant, impossible to ignore pink. Wading in shallow salt ponds, moving with slow elegance, comes the bird that doesn't just live in the Bahamas, it defines it. As the black vulture circles away with its tough guy swagger, the Bahamas takes a breath, a long, quiet, glowing breath. The sky softens, the water blushes, and suddenly the horizon blooms into a color so bright, so impossible, you almost wonder if your eyes are playing tricks on you. Pink, a whole world of pink, wading through shallow salt ponds like royalty on stilts. The Caribbean flamingo steps into the frame. And here's the question that keeps people hooked all the way until they see one in real life. How does a bird that looks like a tropical fever dream move with the elegance of a ballet dancer and the attitude of a supermodel on vacation? Because flamingos don't walk, they glide. They don't stand, they pose. Long legs, curved S-shaped neck, deep coral plumage glowing like living sunset. It's as if the Bahamas borrowed a piece of the sky and let it walk on water. But the beauty is just the beginning. Flamingos are architects of the landscape. They stir up mud with their feet, filter tiny shrimp and algae with those bizarre upside-down beaks, and leave behind ecosystems richer than before. Their color, that iconic pink, comes from carotenoid pigments in the shrimp they eat. Meaning, quite literally, the flamingo is what it eats. Here's a wild twist. These elegant birds are surprisingly loud. A whole colony sounds like a massive flock of honking geese having a heated debate. And yet, inside that noise, parents recognize their chicks' call instantly, even among thousands. It's nature's version of finding your friend's voice in a stadium full of people. Social? Oh, absolutely. Flamingos do everything together. Feed, migrate, preen, dance. Yes, dance. Synchronized head turns, wing flares, steps in unison. A courtship ritual that looks choreographed, like they practiced backstage before sunrise. And the sense of community doesn't stop there. They build tall mud nests to protect their eggs from flooding, raise chicks in huge nurseries, and guard each other like a living, breathing coral reef of feathers. So here's your final debate for today. Is the flamingo the Bahamas' living symbol of grace, or a loud, shrimp-powered drama queen that just happens to be breathtaking? Either way, when the flock rises together in a wave of pink, you realize something powerful. We didn't save the best for last. The Bahamas did. So, after 21 wings, 21 personalities, and 21 stories stitched across forest, beach, mangrove, and open sea, what do we leave the Bahamas with? A truth that's bigger than any bird we met today. This place, this chain of turquoise islands floating in the Atlantic, isn't just home to beautiful creatures. It's home to characters, singers who can mimic the whole island, hummingbirds built from light, parrots with too many opinions, pelicans that dive like thunder, and flamingos painting entire horizons pink. Every species carved its own role in this paradise. Some cleaned the land, some filled it with song, some kept the skies sharp and honest. All of them, every single one, shaped the Bahamas into the living, breathing wonder we see today. And here's the quiet message they leave us with. Paradise isn't perfect because it's pretty. It's perfect because it's alive, because it's wild, because it's still full of surprises waiting behind the next wave, the next mangrove, the next sunrise flight. So now I'll ask you, after meeting all 21, which bird felt like the soul of the Bahamas to you? Drop it in the comments. And maybe next time you stand on a warm beach watching wings cross the sky, you'll feel that same heartbeat we felt here today. Ready for the next island?